What? New Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix? Oh boy, I wonder what I should do. Oh gosh. Oh, you picked the right choice. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and yes, I'm talking all about Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Kimmy versus the Reverend. For all my Kimmy Schmidt fans out there, get loud. Let me hear y'all right now. I'm clapping internally because I was so excited when I found out that a Kimmy Schmidt movie was coming to Netflix. Now, it is interactive, so we'll talk about that and whether or not it makes or breaks the movie. Now, before we talk all about Kimmy versus the Reverend, if this is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James. Now, if you're wondering who that is, that's me, and I love talking all about movies. So if you love what you hear and what you see, go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and tap that bell as well, because listen, you're gonna want to stay up to date with anything new. We're dropping some awesome content. Trust me, there's a review coming that I'm really excited to drop for you guys. Now, don't forget to like this video and comment below and let me know what you guys think of Kimmy Schmidt. Do you like Kimmy Schmidt? Are you excited for Kimmy versus the Reverend? And do you disagree or agree with everything we're about to talk about? And thank you to Netflix for allowing me to see Kimmy versus the Reverend early. You guys are a gem, a true gem. Really appreciate your guys' hard work during these crazy times. Directed by Scanlon, this movie surrounds Kimmy, who's played by Ellie Kemper, and she's getting married to Prince Frederick, played by Radcliffe, but they find out that the Reverend has another bunker full of women. Now you get to choose, and this is the interactive portion of this movie, whether to go and save the day or stay on script and marry Prince Frederick. Now most of the gang is here. Titus Burgess is back as Titus. Of course, Jacqueline is here, Jane Krakowski, and Kane as Lily. Yeah, they have some zany scenes. Now let's start with the obvious, which is what kind of piqued my curiosity. Now, interactive movies on Netflix are becoming a certain thing to get used to. Black Mirror's movie Bandersnatch was the first interactive movie that I was interacting with. I'm saying that a lot tonight. It was not very good, in my opinion. I felt that it was a little too repetitive and there was no real ending for me. I don't know, the movie kind of felt like I was going in a circle and it was not very enjoyable. However, on the other hand, Kimmy versus the Reverend is enjoyable. Picking your choices is incredibly fun, especially if you're with somebody else, and whenever you mess up, there are these funny scenes that let you know the movie's gonna rewind. And I thought that whether it featured Cindy or even what was it, Daniel Radcliffe and Ellie Kemper in one moment was okay. That part was really crazy, and you'll know it if you get there. But I thought it was really fun, and really it made me smile, and especially being with my significant other, it was just a good time when we got to look at each other and say, no, you pick this one. No, you got it. These are the kind of moments that are organic and they are really fun. So already a check mark for this movie in terms of being enjoyable and definitely nailing the interactivity. So I think Netflix is trending upward when it comes to these interactive movies. It is a break from the norm and it's something fun to do while you're in quarantine. Okay, so now let's talk about what I enjoyed when it comes to the film. Outside of all the interactivity, I was able to pick a storyline that involved me choosing to take Titus and go and, of course, track down the Reverend and find this hidden bunker. Of course, I'm not spoiling anything because that was in the trailer, but I'll stop right there because there are two choices that could play out differently, but this is the storyline that I went along on. And I would say it was very charming, honestly. It has that awesome feel that this TV show has, and the TV show is one of my favorite comedies, not only just on Netflix, but of all time. It is so good. Ellie Kemper is in her habitat here, and I love that Titus Burgess has this insane chemistry with the rest of the cast, and his comedic timing is perfect. And Daniel Radcliffe really is a good addition here, and I was really interested to see him in the trailer, one, but then when you watch the film, I thought, oh my god, he's funny and I want to see him in more comedies. There are really some laugh out loud moments that I can think of right now that I won't spoil for you because the punchlines make it so great, but just know that you're coming to expect a similar level of humor. Now, whether or not the humor is as frequent as the show is a topic that we'll get into later on in the video, but I still found some of these moments to be incredibly funny, and where there is a lack of humor, there's a lot of charm. And I know we just talked about the interactivity, but really, trust me guys, there is nothing that the interactivity takes away from the film. Sometimes there's like janky cuts between different scenes that the movie's going through, and different decisions that'll come up on the screen, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it didn't take away. If anything, it added to the experience. And I know I just mentioned the main cast earlier in the video, but trust me you guys, Titus Burgess, Ellie, Kemper, Krakowski, and Kane are just an all-star cast. They're really just a tour de force, and seeing them again on, well, the little screen, right, because it's not like in a movie theater, of course, it was so beautiful, and I really think that they have it down packed. I love that Tina Fey was really able to write these characters in such a unique way for the film. Now, you don't see Jon Hamm too much as the Reverend, but there are moments that he capitalizes on, and it's zany humor. However, I will say that if you're not a fan of Kimmy Schmidt, you're not necessarily going to fall in love with this movie, because there's a lot of callbacks to previous references, and I mean, some characters that appear on screen I almost clapped for. You won't do the same if you're not a fan, so fans will definitely appreciate everything that this movie kind of produces. However, it's not the perfect Kimmy Schmidt film. Again, like I said, no spoilers, but the movie just kind of ends, and my biggest drawback was, man, there's no real resolution here. Could it be that I just played one storyline and restarting my choices and going back to the beginning, because yes, it gives you that option, would have changed my perception of the conclusion? Maybe. But there's not a lot of punch to this movie compared to the TV series. That could just be a fault of how high of a standard the movie had to get to, considering the content that Tina Fey, Ellie, Kemper, and the cast and crew were able to basically successfully achieve. I mean, this is one of the best Netflix original comedies ever, and when you make a Netflix original movie based on that, there's a certain bar that you have to reach, and it didn't get there. And then maybe this is just me being selfish, guys, but I wanted more of Titus Burgess. I feel like everything he's been in since Kimmy Schmidt ended, he's not had the most screen time, and he deserves it. He's fantastic, fantabulous. Any adjective you want to describe Titus Burgess with that has to do with him being great, I would use right now. He is just so darn good, and his line delivery is still on point, and I wish we would just see more of him. So I don't know, Netflix, I'm just saying, maybe a spin-off show could be in the works. I would watch the heck out of that on day one. And speaking of characters that we didn't see much of, Xanthippe, Mikey, there's not a lot of characters that kind of come back, and if they come back, they don't have that much of a role. It seems to me that maybe they were trying to fit in the main cast so much that they forgot about the other characters, and I get it. There's a linear story here with, multiple choices that you can make, but I just didn't see many of those old characters get reprised in the movie. As for the story itself, though, again, there's not really much of a resolution to the film. When the credits ran, I thought, okay, that's it? Like, there's nothing else? There's an end credit scene. Oh no, it's just Krakowski telling me I can restart the story. I don't want to see the story end on such an unemphatic note. It was very anticlimactic. I guess that's the better word for it, and that's disappointing to me. And we didn't talk about the writers in the beginning of this review, but let me tell you guys, having 4 writers pen the script here might have been the reason why the second half of the film was so tonally different than the first. The first is classic Kimmy Schmidt, it's funny as heck, and then in the second half you start to get this weird feeling that the story is getting a little bit more serious, a little less humor, and even when they try to be funny, like there's this Me Too sequence that doesn't necessarily hit. I get what they're trying to do, and of course, on paper, it probably sounded really funny, but I think if you would have just stuck with Tina Fey, you might have been better off in terms of consistency. The second half just didn't hit. That's what I would say. It just didn't hit for me as much as the first chunk of the film did, and that could also be why the ending just fell flat. But overall, you guys, this is not a terrible film. I mean, I know I just listed off some negatives, but this is still very charming, funny, and it is really enjoyable for Kimmy Schmidt fans. This is really a darling series for me, and I absolutely love everything about Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I just had high expectations for Kimmy versus the Reverend, because when you hear about an Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt film, you think, oh my god, we're getting an hour and a half of hilarious sequences with some really clever writing. We got that in chunks, we didn't get that all the way through, so consistency is the biggest problem for this film, but it doesn't mean it's bad. I would say if you temper your expectations and go into it thinking about a film that'll take your mind off of the current climate and really be charming, you're gonna come out of this smiling. And don't get me wrong, I was smiling, but I was wanting more. And that's never a bad thing, because if we can get more Kimmy Schmidt, let me tell you, Netflix, I'll give you a hug, like a social distance hug. So I'd have to like stand back and do this. Well, you guys, there you have it. That's my review of Kimmy versus the Reverend. Again, a film that I think you'll enjoy if you're a Kimmy Schmidt fan. I just think it could have been so much better, but maybe, just maybe, we'll get more Kimmy Schmidt every single year moving forward, because Lord knows, I love Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And if you loved everything you just heard and saw, again, don't forget to go ahead and hit the big red button below for more reviews just like this, and tap on the bell right next to it, because guys, I've been dropping reaction videos, watch alongs. It's been so much fun. You're not going to want to miss out on anything. Again, like this video, share it with all your Kimmy Schmidt friends, and comment below and let me know if you agree or disagree when you guys see the movie. Alrighty, you guys, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.